Hey there, I'm Olivia. Please, come in, make yourself comfortable. Yeah, can I get you a water or anything? No problem, just let me know if you need anything, okay? Great, and do you happen to have that insurance form filled out perhaps? Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. Okay, looks good. Thank you so much for filling that out. Very nice handwriting. Yeah, okay. So today I'm going to be guiding you through the intake process for your first therapy appointment here. This is all just part of getting to know you and your background, your goals, your preferences, etc., so that your provider can really meet you where you are and help you to reach your goals. So what I'm going to be doing is asking you a few personal questions, but please know that everything you share is completely confidential. Any notes that we take are securely stored under password and two-factor authentication, and any paperwork that's physical is stored in a locked filing cabinet. We take your privacy extremely seriously. With that being said, you should also know that if I ask you a question that you don't feel comfortable answering, that's perfectly okay. You can just tell me I'd rather not say, and I'll just move right along to the next question, okay? Yeah. Do you have any questions for me before we get started? No? Okay, if you think of anything, please feel free to pause me. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. I want to make sure you feel comfortable and knowledgeable. Absolutely. All right, we'll go ahead and get started then. So I'm actually going to start with some basic information. So could I please have your full name? Thank you. Date of birth? Okay. And your phone number? Thanks. How about your email? gmail.com. Okay. Yeah, thank you for spelling that out for me. That's helpful. And would you prefer for us to call, text, or email reminders for your appointments? Text. Okay. And are you currently employed, in school, or something else? Okay. And is that part-time or full-time? Okay. And what is it that you do? Very cool. Okay. Thank you. Just a little bit more about you. What is your current living situation? Like, who do you live with? Do you live by yourself, a partner, family, roommate? Okay, got it. Okay, next we're going to be talking a bit more about why you're seeking therapy. There's no perfect answer here. Maybe you've thought of things, maybe you haven't. If you haven't, that's perfectly okay. We can either skip those questions or you can just tell me whatever feels right in the moment or whatever comes to mind. So first, have you ever done therapy before? Okay, and for how long? Great. And we want to make sure that we're meeting your needs and are as helpful as we can be to you specifically. So was there anything in particular that you found helpful or unhelpful about your previous experiences? Okay, gotcha. Got it. Okay, just writing that down. Okay, that is so helpful. Thank you so much for sharing that. That'll be really useful information for the provider to best assist you. So I guess the big question is, what has you seeking therapy at this time? Okay. Okay, I got it. Yeah, I'm really glad that you're here. And how long have you been experiencing this? Got it. Okay. And I know we just talked about why you're here and how long you've been experiencing this for, but my next question is, was there any sort of specific thing or situation that triggered you to make this appointment? I know it's very common for there to be some sort of situation or something like that where a person really decides to finally pull the trigger on making a therapist appointment. Did anything like that happen to you? And if so, what was it? Okay. Got it. Okay, let me write that down. Okay, thank you so much for sharing. Okay. Next, I'm actually going to hand you this feelings wheel. So you can kind of see on here, there's all of these feelings, lots of them. They're divided into themes. What I'm just going to ask of you, let me just hand this to you, start looking at it. What I'm going to ask is that you take a look at the feelings wheel, and if you could just name, I don't know, 2 to 5 of the main feelings that you've been experiencing over the last 2 weeks or so. And feel free to take your time reading that over. I'm actually going to be making some notes while you look it over. Please take your time. You ready? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm ready. Okay. Okay, perfect. Now that's exactly what I needed. And you have that feelings wheel. That is a printout. If you're interested, you can take that home with you, or I'm happy to take it back. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's all yours. You can keep it. Okay, fantastic. So, next question. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being extremely difficult and 10 being very manageable, how would you rate your day-to-day emotional well-being right now? Let's say, again, over the last 2 weeks or so. Understood. Okay. And have you had any major life changes recently? Things like a move, a breakup, a loss, a job change, anything like that? Okay. And how long ago was that? Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay. So we've talked a bit about your recent experiences, what brought you here, etc. But with that in mind, do you have a specific goal that you'd like to work toward with a therapist? You may or may not have one, and if you don't, that's perfectly fine. Okay. Yeah, that's certainly a worthy goal. You really put thought into this. Yeah, great. Thank you so much for sharing that. So next, I'm actually going to ask you some questions related to your mental health and safety. And again, if there's any questions that you don't want to answer, please just let me know and we can skip past it. So my first question in this regard is, do you take any medication related to mental health, like maybe for anxiety, depression, ADHD, anything like that? Okay. And have you ever been hospitalized for mental health reasons? Okay. Great. And do you have any past or current experiences with self-harm or suicidal thoughts? Okay. And do you have a support system, like family, friends, someone who you check in with regularly? Yeah, and who is that? Okay, that's helpful. And how would you rate how you feel about your support system, with 1 being completely unsupportive, maybe even harmful, to 10 being that you feel very loved and supported? Okay, great to hear. Yeah, I can add in that context and notes here. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. Next question. Do you have any history of trauma or situations that you'd like your therapist to be mindful of, even if you're not ready to talk about it? Okay. Okay. Understood. And is there anything that you'd like your therapist to not bring up unless you're ready? So any subjects that you really want them to steer clear of? Okay. You're totally open. Okay. And you can change your mind at any time. We're not locking you in. We just want to understand where you're at today. Okay. A couple of general health questions. Do you have any medical conditions that you've been diagnosed with? And when were you diagnosed with that? Okay. Anything else? Okay. And again, when were you diagnosed with that? Okay. Anything else? No. Okay. And do you take any medications, prescription or over the counter, or any supplements? Okay. And do you happen to know the dosage? And how often do you take that? Daily. Okay. Any other medications? Again, supplements, prescription, over the counter. You take a vitamin D supplement? Okay. Do you happen to know the dosage for that? Oh, you do. Okay. Yeah, sometimes people don't know. That's perfectly okay, but very good. You're on top of that. And do you take that daily? Yeah. Okay. All right. And again, everything is completely confidential here and is just meant to make sure that we can best assist you. Do you take any recreational drugs? And do you have any other history with recreational drugs? Okay, great. Thank you for sharing. Okay, let's see. So those are the basic questions that we needed to fill out. I just have a couple of last questions that are really just to understand any preferences that you might have regarding therapy so that we can best match you to a provider. So with that being said, do you have any preference for your therapist in terms of things like gender, background, age group, religion, anything like that? Okay. Okay. Understood. All right. And do you have a preference in terms of a therapist that can do in-person, virtual sessions, or someone who can do both? Okay, great. And do you have any sensory preferences that we should know about? For example, things like lights, noise, physical space concerns, anything like that? Okay. And do you have certain days or times that generally work best for you in terms of ongoing sessions? Okay. Afternoons if possible. Okay. Great. All right, let's see. So, thank you for answering those questions. That really helps me with making your match with a provider. So I think I actually know exactly who to pair you up with. They would be a very good match for you and your needs and your preferred times. So I can actually go ahead and schedule you now if you'd like. Yeah, okay. Let me get my booking appointment book. Okay, let's see. So we have an opening next Thursday at 2:00 p.m. Does that work for you? Sure. Okay. Let me see. 4:00. Yes. Yes. There is a 4:00 available with the provider. Would you like me to get that scheduled? Perfect. Okay. Let me write that down. One moment. Okay. Got it. And would you like me to write that down for you? Yeah, of course. Let me just put this down. And yeah, that's right. It's an hour session. I'm sorry. I should have said that. Great. And here's your reminder. Of course. And if you can just show up 10 minutes ahead of time, that would be perfect. Okay. Let me take one last look over all of these answers that we needed. You've got your insurance form. Okay. Great. So everything's looking good. That's all the questions that I have for you today. But I do have one last thing before you leave. Okay, so here's this little welcome packet that I have for you. So it's actually going to include our privacy policy, your rights and responsibilities as a client, what our responsibilities are as a therapist practice. There is a brief, what to expect during your sessions page, and we also have how to contact us or reschedule appointments in here. So what I'm going to ask of you is if you could just please review the contents before your first session. Feel free to contact us if you have any questions. And then the last page is going to be a comprehensive signature form. We're going to ask that you sign that and bring it back to you, with you, to your first session. Yeah, and actually, just so you don't forget, and it's very obvious, I'm going to take one of these little tabs here, and I will put that on the only page that you need to sign. There you go. And let me actually highlight for you where it is that you'll need to sign. So there's a signature, printer name, and the date. So that should be pretty easy. There you go. As you can see, it sticks out for you. So just bring that one page back with you for your first session. Here you go. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, that's everything for today. I know that the intake can be a little bit overwhelming, but you did amazing. We're going to send you a reminder text 2 days before your appointment. If anything changes, or if you think of anything that you maybe forgot to mention that you wanted to, please feel free to reach out directly. Again, all of the information is in the packet. Otherwise, are there any other questions that I can answer for you today? Of course, it's been my pleasure. Yes. Thank you so much for trusting us with your care. I really hope that this is the beginning of something really healing and supportive for you. Great. You too. Have a fantastic day. Thank you.